Hello, fellow netizen, my fellow brothers and sisters from Africa and in Africa. And to those of you from everywhere around the world, I extend a greeting of peace, happiness, and prosperity. I hope all your dreams come true exactly as you want them. And I also hope that you are trying your best day in, day out to make your life better. Because remember, no one is going to do that for you. No one is going to come rescuing you. No one is going to come to save you. You have got to save yourself. Only you can save yourself. Do not think for a second that your leader will come to save you. Do not think for a second that your daddy in the church, your man of God, is coming to save you. Do not think for a second that your politicians are coming to save you. They are struggling to save themselves. Your own saving is all on you. Only you will save yourself. And if you know this, if you come to understand this, if you take this information, this knowledge to heart, you are going to step out of your house. You are going to proudly start doing anything that is going to bring you happiness and prosperity. Now, the reason why I keep stressing on this every now and then is because I believe that it is our collective responsibility to try to educate each other. And I know for a fact that most of my fellow brothers and sisters in Africa are so frustrated with our governments. They are so tired of our government because our governments haven't been there for them. So they have just say, okay, since you guys don't want to care for us, fine, no problem. We are going to look the other way. And they've now looked to their men of God, thinking that the men of God, because they are religious people, they will do the right thing. They will tell them the right thing. They will do good by them. And you cannot blame them for thinking that way because they don't know any better. But the problem is, the men of God, most of them, of course, are not out there looking out for their members, are not out there caring and having concern about the welfare of their members. All they care about is having as many members as possible and also to get enough money from them as possible. That is all what they care about. That is why you see in a church, the man of God does not even know his member, like individually. He just wants the church to be full. He just wants to have a huge crowd. As if that was the main reason for having a church in the first place. To have a church, or to be a man of God, or to serve God, doesn't necessarily require a huge crowd. It just required one person who is willing to listen to the word of God, who is willing to be educated about the word of God. who is willing to have their lives change. But nowadays, men of God do not care if they have changed the life of one person. No, 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 no. All they care about is having a very huge population in their churches and building huge, huge buildings, as if that will somehow make the members go to heaven. So, my brothers and sisters in Africa and from Africa, please, okay, those of you watching our show, remember your own welfare, okay, the happiness and prosperity and peace of your life depend on you. And only you can do that for yourself. No one can do it for you. Believe me, no one can do it for you. So, get up. Get out of the house. Start thinking of what to do. Start small and then grow it. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be just fine. So, let's run along with some of the stories making the headlines from our beloved continent, Africa. Zimbabwe opposition leader Nelson Chamisi leaves hijacked CCC party. The opposition party leader has left the party, and according to him, the party has been hijacked by people with authoritarian motives. So let's see what might have caused him to leave the party. This is Africa for you. I tell you every day, my brothers and sisters, politics in Africa is really complicated. It's super complicated. Just over 2 years at the helm of the Citizen Coalition for Change, opposition leader Nelson Chamisa announced on Wednesday he was leaving the opposition party. I inform you that with immediate effect, I no longer have anything to do with CCC, a statement read. My focus remains fully on Zimbabwe, asserting your victory, honoring the citizens' mandate and God's calling to provide leadership, he added. In a 13-page statement, the former leader of the CCC explains his decision. He first takes stocks of 44 years of ZANU-PF rule in the country. He accuses the ruling party of entrancing authoritarianism in Zimbabwe and stealing last year's presidential election. He specifically lingers over the December 9 by-elections. Those who organized after the Citizens Coalition for Change lost 33 parliamentary seats after an imposter announced in parliament that they had left the party, resulting in the loss of their seats. This person, who is unknown to us, now single-handedly wields so much power. He has basically been turned into an organization courtesy of the ZANU-PF Chamisa Road. The original CCC idea has, however, been contaminated, bastardized, hijacked by ZANU-PF through the abuse of state's institution. CCC has not been aligned to its founding purpose and mandate. Further, CCC has now been rendered an extension of and been taken over by ZANU-PF. CCC has, to all intents and purposes, been criminally handed over to ZANU-PF, the statement further read. So it's a sad day for Mr. Nelson here. And he finally realizes that politics in Zimbabwe is so, so dirty. It's not just in Zimbabwe, it's all over Africa. Politics there is so dirty. Politicians are so ruthless. The way they go after each other will make anyone reconsider their thoughts before becoming politicians. It's never the business of the people. It's never about serving the people or looking out for the people. It's never about that. It's about politicians trying to prove to themselves how powerful they are. It's about politicians doing whatever it takes to keep themselves in power. It's about politicians going after any single person who tries to critique them. They will persecute anyone who said anything they did not like. That is African politicians for you. So we hope Mr. Nelson Chamisa find peace and happiness. So let's move on to our next story for the day. Nigeria gears up for election year with urging president opposition that is yet to offer challenger. Yeah, Nigeria will be having their presidential election this year, and according to this article, it looks like the leader is really, really old, and the opposition is yet to put forth a candidate. So we don't know if they will boycott the elections or not. So let's see. Nigeria is gearing up for an election year with an aging president and an opposition that is yet to present a candidate. The oil-rich North African country faces mounting political and economic challenges as public dissatisfaction rises. Yet it remains unclear whether Nigeria's presidential election, likely to be held in December, will inspire serious campaigning. The rally for culture and democracy among the real opposition parties, maintaining a notable public presence in President Abdelmadjid Tabin's Nigeria. This will call on the government to put in place political conditions for a debate to find a way out of crisis. Still, no candidate has stepped forward to challenge Tabin, Nigeria's 78-year-old leader who came to power in 2019 and has now announced plans to run for a second term. He is maintained an air of mystery, contending last month that the people will decide the right moment for such an announcement. The country's leading army general, Chengriha, has offered support for Tipbin, praising the projects implemented over the past 4 years and calling for the continuation of his work. Yeah, Africa and politicians and the military. So we see here that the president already has the support of the top military commander. And in Africa, more too often, the military is the kingmaker. So if they support you, then you are good and fine. If they support you, then you can just carry it on. Yeah, that's what happened in Africa. So we hope the best for the people in Nigeria, and we hope they can work out these differences and let the best and most favorable person win. That's just it. After all, we want peace in the country, and we want prosperity, and development. So let's move on to our next story for the day. UK to loan back Ghanaians looted crown jewels 150 years after looting from Ashanti king. Yeah. When I saw this story, I really got pissed off because remember, Western powers came to Africa and they stole a lot of our precious items from us. If you go to many museums in France and the UK, you will see many of our precious items being displayed there. And they make a lot of money from tourism as a result of those items being in their museum. And then we have no rights to those items. We cannot even get them back. And even if we request for them to be sent back, they will say no, they won't give it to us, and we cannot do anything to them. A thief came to your house and stole your items. And after a couple of years, you found the items in the thief's possession. And you requested for your items to be given back to you, and the thief said no, they won't give it back to you. And then you find yourself helpless. You cannot push them to give you back your items. That is the situation we find ourselves. How can UK be loaning Ghana an item they stole from Ghana? Like a thief is now loaning you your own belongings. You see how far they go to insult us? You see how far they go to insult us, and then our lawmakers will take this line low. These are issues you will expect Ghanaians authority to fight for. These are the kind of issues you will expect Ghanaian parliamentarians to push back on. But they will not. They will not. Come and see them debating about LGBTQ rights. Then all of them will show you how powerful they are. When it comes to targeting minorities in society, then all of a sudden, politicians are so powerful. But when it comes to taking on their mate, they become helpless. They become really, really helpless. Because look at something like this, right? Look at something like this. This is something that you expect parliamentarians in Ghana to put their feet on the ground and say, no, this belongs to us. This was stolen from us 150 years ago, and we want it back. We will not accept the terms of you loaning our own thing to us. We will not accept it. But have you heard them said anything? They've all gone quiet about it. Because, after all, they cannot challenge the British government. But when it comes to minorities, when it comes to the people in Ghana, when it comes to us, the locals, then they will come to show us how powerful they are. Toothless politicians. They are there, they can't do any single thing. But let's continue with the article. 2 British museums are returning gold and silver artifacts to Ghana under a long-term loan agreement, 150 years after the items were looted from the Ashanti people during British colonial battles in West Africa. The British Museum and the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, together with the Maha Palace Museum in Ghana, on Thursday announced the important cultural collaboration which sidesteps UK laws that prohibit the return of cultural treasures to their countries of origin. Those laws have been used to prevent the British Museum from returning the Parthenon marbles, also known as the Ingun marbles, to Greece. Some 17 items in total are involved in the loan agreement, including 13 pieces of Ashanti royal regalia purchased by the V&A at auction in 1784. The items were required by the museums after they were looted by British troops during the Anglo-Ashanti Wars of 1873 to 74 and 1895 to 96. These objects are of cultural, historical, and spiritual significance to the Ashanti people. The museum said in a statement they are also indelibly linked to British colonial history in West Africa, with many of them looted from Kumasi during the Anglo-Ashanti Wars of the 19th century. You see, so they steal our items, and instead of doing the right thing of giving it back to us, they are loaning it to us. This is really, really provoking. Yeah, it's really, really provoking. You realize how little they see us. They stole our precious good, and they turn around and loan it back to us. What a pity. What a shame.